Welcome to Ladies Talk Show. We had so many questions on communication, of course, because it's not taught in schools. But anyway, okay, so we're going to start. We're going to just go through the questions. I'm not doing any reading today because we finished chapter 9. We're just going right in. Gila, what you got for me today?
Okay, a lot of questions coming in. Yael asks, my husband responds so casually when I try to share and open up to him. I feel so awkward telling him that I want him to take me seriously because I feel like my issues are so minuscule and people have real problems. How do I stop belittling myself, especially when my husband's responses make me feel worse?
What do you mean they make you feel worse? I didn't understand.
That they're not such big issues and maybe I should just calm down.
Oh, I see. Very interesting. I once asked a Rav, I had a woman who called me up and she was bawling her eyes out, crying. I said, is everything okay? Is everything okay? She was totally hysterical. And what had happened is her housekeeper didn't show up for the day. Okay. Like, okay, I wish we all had those problems, okay. So I totally judged her and I felt like, this is, like, are you joking? Like, okay, so you're going to have a miserable day. That's not, you don't sob and bawl your eyes out and, whatever. Maybe she's hormonal, who knows? But anyway, I tried to answer as good as I could through gritted teeth, like, you poor thing, like whatever. I actually happened to know her, and she actually has, no financial problems, like a big house, everything like that. So I was really judging her in my own mind, but I was trying to be as helpful as I could and understanding and saying, yeah, well, how about this? Can you get this kid to a play date? Can you get that? And the baby, and the dishes aren't going to get done that day. Okay, do they have to get done? If your husband comes home and they're not done, can you put them in the dishwasher yourself? Like really walking her through ABCs of life. And I got off the phone and I was just like, it was like steam was coming out of my ears because I felt for her. And, when someone's crying their eyeballs out on you, your heart goes out to them and you want to help. But I called up a Rav and I said, listen, you got to help me here. This woman is like giving us, really, her housekeeper didn't show up. She has a housekeeper. She has money. She has a husband. She has kids. They're healthy. This is her problem. And he said, Mrs. Richheimer, it's not it's not our job to judge what people go through. This is her nisayon, and other people have more challenging nisayon than this, but this is the test that Hashem gave them, gave her. And your job is to just be as compassionate as you can and to not say, this is not as big of a problem as that one or whatever. So to answer this question is, based on what the Rav told me, is that, her, issues might seem trite in her own eyes or trite in her husband's eyes, but she needs to have a conversation with him and say, I understand that a Rav, or she can ask a Rav and get this answer. A Rav said that, no matter how big or small your issues are, those are the ones God gave you and you are meant to take them seriously. And even if to other people's eyes, they look ridiculous or they look a little, like a trite or something like that. This is what I have. So I don't know if that kind of a conversation will make an impact in her conversation with her husband, whether he'll be able to hear that coming from a Rav, or whether she needs to have a conversation with him and say, look, would you rather I had problems like, gallbladder surgery or, that I crash the car every day? These are my issues. And when you belittle them, it makes me feel invalidated, like what I think and what I feel isn't important. So I'm glad my problems seem trite to you, and I'm glad they are in relative picture of the world. They are probably trite, but they're the issues that God gave me to deal with. And you are my Rebbe, you're my Rav, you're the one who I look up to help me solve these things. And I need you. I need you to be that for me, no matter how dumb you think my problems are. So try that. There's a trial and error thing. If you say it from the heart. And again, if you are putting all of your energy into shalom bayis and trying to listen to your husband and take his issues seriously, and no matter what he says, if he says, you put the fork on the wrong side of the plate, say, oh, who cares? If you say that, right, then he's going to think less of your issues. Or if you say, oh, okay, I'll move it over, whatever. So one thing you can do to kind of shift the game is by putting extra attention on things that you think maybe are trite in his world, and give them extra validity and extra care and attention. And that might help a little bit also. But the main thing is to have a conversation with him and let him know that whether they're tried or not, they're what God gave you. And you need his help. Okay, you need God's help and your husband's help. Okay, very, very good question. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. This one's actually regarding loyalty and communication. My husband is the only observant one in his family. He's a Balchuva, and he often posts comments on his family chat that are potentially triggering because they have different ideas than him. Should I go out of my way to comment on this chat that I stand behind my husband's opinions, or is it okay for me to remain silent? I'm concerned that if I comment, it'll spiral into family feuds.
That's a good question, but I'm missing. Maybe you understood it, or maybe can you? I forget the lady's name. Maybe she
Esty.
can. Esty, if you can just rewrite. What do you mean that his comments are bad, or people say mean things to him, or
she says that her husband's comments are a little too harsh for the unobservant family. Does she need to back up her husband or not say anything at all?
You mean he's saying, "Oh well, you shouldn't have been eating trace anyhow"? Is it?
It sounds like something along the lines of, him being more observant than them. Yes.
So for sure, she should be loyal and be loyal to her husband no matter what, even if he's it's a disaster. But better strategy is to talk to him and say, the Torah says kibbud av v'em. It doesn't say kiruv av v'em. You know what I mean? Like, it's not saying make the rest of your family from. It doesn't say that. It says kibbud av v'em. So you have to be careful. Maybe it's not his parents. It didn't say, but whoever's in that, sisters, brothers, whoever's in that family chat group, it's not his job to make them from. That's first of all. Second of all, even if it was his job, let's say, someone came to him and said, I'll give you $1 million if you work on them. You have to have results, but if you work on them, I'll give you $1 million. The worst way to do it is to put harsh comments in the chat. It's like, that's not going to do anything. Invite them for Shabbos and, send them kosher food and, whatever, pay for all their grocery bills if they go kosher. I don't know, whatever. These are ridiculous things I'm saying, but I'm just saying that the way that methodology, if she can, rather than being loyal to him, which she needs to be, absolutely. If he continued doing it, she should continue to be loyal to him. She doesn't necessarily aggressively need, if he says, you're going to burn in hell if you eat crab, and she said, yes, that's true. You are, whatever, it doesn't have to say, she doesn't have to go like that. But so she can just stay silent unless that's going to be heard as if everyone's commenting except her, and that'll be heard as a loud silence, then she shouldn't do that either. So she should be loyal to him. But behind the scenes, she should have a conversation. What's your objective here? What are you going for? If you're trying to makarve them, I don't think they're makarvable, and certainly not by chastising them. Let's brainstorm. How do you want to accomplish what you want to accomplish? That's probably the most loyal thing you could do, because he's, in a way, he's embarrassing himself in public, or embarrassing himself in a group forum of everyone's like, now they just roll their eyes. So whereas maybe an aunt is on the chat or a sister is on the chat, and she would have been open to what he had to say about Yiddishkeit and growing in Torah and mitzvahs and everything like that. She maybe at some dinner party, he said, I'll tell you something, you don't have to be frum to light Shabbos candles. You can light Shabbos candles. It will mean something to you. And she's like, oh yeah, maybe I'll try that. But because there have been 10 things on the chat where everybody except him everybody's rolled their eyes at him, now she may not be open to it. So he could be hurting the thing. And if she points this out to him and explains all of this to him in the nicest, menschiest possible way, maybe she could make a bigger impact than if she stayed loyal, by making weird comments on the chat. Very, very good question, and a deep question. And it takes, I wouldn't just, based on what I said, just go barreling like a bull in a china shop and telling this to their husband. Really think about it. Take your time, maybe grab a journal and make notes of how you're going to say it, what you're going to say, what he possibly might answer. Really give it a lot of thought before you attempt it, because the more preparatory work, the better it's going to go. Okay, fantastic question.
Beautiful. Okay. Tammy asks, my husband complains that I always shut his ideas down, which is often true because he doesn't understand that what's good for him is not generally what's good for me and the kids. And she gave examples like he always wants to go on hikes, stay out late with the kids, be spontaneous. It's a constant struggle in our marriage. How can we work on this issue?
Hmm. So there's two issues here. First issue is that if she follows her husband's will, we have a Masorah that if we follow our husband's will, bracha will come into the world, into our home. And the problem with if the husband's will is to keep them up late every night, and then she can't get them up to get them off to school, ain't that's not going to be a very pretty sight. However, how can we rectify those two things? If you follow your husband's will, then you will see bracha, because the practicality of it doesn't work. So what that means in practical terms is that we can following our husband's will doesn't mean we have to stick with everything stupid idea he has, every crazy or wrong or whatever. It means that he's keeping them up late and late and late, and then the next morning when it's a problem, so then it's having a conversation with them and saying, I love that you want to spend all this time with the kids at night. I dreamed of having a husband who wanted to spend time like that with the kids and be with them and be an interactive father. And you get home late because you're working hard for us to make parnasa for money for us. And I'm so grateful to you. The thing is, I don't know what to do because in the morning they're a mess, and I just don't even know what to do with myself. Do you have any suggestions on how we can solve this and take the problem? And for those of you listening on the podcast, it's like I'm making a little bowl out of my hands and I'm passing it over to my husband, handing him the problem and saying, do you have any ideas how we can solve this issue? And see what he says. And if he says, well, I want to do what I want to do, you might be stuck with it. And it doesn't mean you have to be a shmata, a rag, a doormat, and just let him walk all over you. But it means that now maybe you have to give the kids earlier naps, later naps, so that whatever, maybe in the morning you have all the lunches ready so that then you wake them up as the last possible minute, or you wake them up an hour early so that they can get dressed in a slow fashion. You might have a lot of logistics working out to try and follow your husband's will. But the beautiful thing that you need to know is that this is a work in progress, a lot of trial and error. Many different things can be tried. And, the more committed you are to shalom bias and to closeness and to giving your husband the respect he needs and thanking him for being who he is and appreciating him and not judging him and not criticizing him, the more you work on yourself to be a better wife and to be a better person towards your husband and be more of a mensch to your husband, a lot of the things that are cause a lot of friction in the relationship tend to dissipate. They tend to either diminish or disappear because the husband's getting all his needs met. Now that battle, it could be he wants to win the battle. He doesn't even care about the points. He just wants to win the battle. A lot of people are like that. And if you're the same way, that sets up a bad scenario. Whereas if you're like, okay, we can do it your way, but there are ramifications. Very, very good point. And I wish you had hatzlacha with it. Again, have a lot of forethought before you take action in this area. Very good.
Beautiful. I love the mind shift of saying, I love that you want to spend time with the kids. It's such a good thing, even for herself, to keep that on the forefront of her mind.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay. Hami asks, my husband needs constant reminders for his responsibilities, like taking out the trash, cleaning up after himself, paying bills. I hate that I sound like his mother or a drill sergeant. What can I do to help him?
Very good.
I guess, how can she communicate it better with him without sounding
Yeah. The wife, read my lips. Never be the policeman in your marriage. Don't be the policeman. It's a bad idea. It's bad even with kids. You're better off enrolling them in doing what needs to be done rather than policing them. But that it's a necessary part of motherhood, as you are also the police. Get your blue hat on today. Okay. But for your husband, never. It's very bad. I have women who say, well, I'm my husband's alarm clock in the morning. So he tells me what time to wake him up. No, you buy if $5 later, you have an alarm, $10 later, you have an alarm clock. Let them be the alarm. Don't have one less thing that you are annoying to your husband about. You're annoying. Women are annoying to their husbands. You want to minimize the annoyance as much as humanly possible. Okay. And that's one of the ways. So you can't be the nag. If he says he doesn't do the trash, let the trash turn green and have mold all over it and be spilling out all over the kitchen before you start telling him every day, you forgot to take out the trash. Would you take out the trash? Get the trash taken out. No, that's not who you don't want to hate yourself. Okay. Let alone him hating you. Okay. God forbid. So the point is that you need to sit again. You're putting the problem in his lap. Listen, I realize that I'm nagging you about certain things, and I know we kind of have that, set that up in our relationship 14 years ago, where I tell you when to take out the trash, when to pay the bills, when to whatever. And I realize I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for you because you get nagged. And he's like, no, it's fine. I need you to do it. Say, yeah, but I don't think it's good for me. It makes me feel like a naggy wife. And then when I say, don't forget the trash, and then you forget, and a few hours later, I say, take out the trash, I feel like a witch. I feel horrible about myself. My self-esteem is going through the floor because I just don't feel, I feel, blame it all on yourself. You see what I'm doing here? However you need to convince him that this is a bad idea. You could even say, I'm not doing it anymore. Not the ideal way to do it, but really put your foot down about this. You being the police and you being the reminder and the alarm clock and the, what? Okay, if he is not remembering to pay the bills, guess what? You pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? Like, hello, whatever needs to be done to get the house run smoothly, whether it's, you on his phone. It's better if he does it, but if you need to set alarms on his phone, or notes, if he doesn't have if he has a flip phone or something, you post-it notes where, that you put a post-it note on his dashboard of his car saying, don't forget to pick up the milk, something like that. Those kinds of reminders, little notes or something like that. Not great, but better than being the verbal nag and having that be part of your relationship. So I would work, again, it's not an overnight thing, probably. It's probably something you ease your way out of. If you have 10 things that you're reminding about, start with dropping 1, then drop 2, then drop 3. So you're only reminding him 7 things, then 6 things, then 5 things. And eventually you are not his policeman. And that is the way it needs to be for the husband to be able to have a sense of self-worth and strengthen himself, and for you not to feel like a nag. There's no woman who should feel like her role is policeman in the home. It's bad for her, bad for the husband, bad for the family. Woo! Okay. Did I make it clear? Was I vague? Was I too vague for you?
No, that was very clear. Okay. Rissi asks, why do we always have to bend to our husband's will? What about the wife's will? Is there no bracha when a husband tries to bend to his wife's will? I guess it was a question that you answered already.
Well, the issue is that the Masorah is a wife. Bracha comes into the home when the wife bends to the husband's will. There's no source that I've seen for the wife bending to the husband's will. Now, does that mean the husband shouldn't do what she needs, wants, or desires, or fantasizes about, or hopes or dreams and her wishes and what? No, of course he should pay every attention to her, every need, emotional, spiritual, physical, he needs to be on it. However, the difference is that a woman has her quote unquote way of doing things. I like things my way, like my way. And women are very smart. It's true that a woman, the way she arranged the leftovers in the kitchen, this is the new eggs, this is the old eggs, this is the, whatever. And he's just throwing everything in, whatever. Her way in many, many aspects is better than his way. And not only that, she can multitask and do 14 things. And a man can, newsflash, spoiler alert, man can only do one thing at a time. Okay. Just saying. Okay. So knowing that, a woman totally getting that and realizing that. And look, there's exceptions to every rule, but in the most part, a woman could be doing 10 things, that she's answering an email, changing a diaper, getting the dinner cooked, having tomorrow's, recipe faxed to her from somebody else. Or what? Does anyone use any faxes anymore? anyway, whatever, getting sent to her. Anyway, the point is that there's the differences between men and women are very great, and a woman shouldn't be mad at him for not being the way she wants, she thinks it should be, he should be. But a woman feels that her way is the best way. It might even be the best way by an audience of 10,000 people who vote. What's the best way? Okay. If the objective was to be the best way and the most correct way, and for the woman to be right and everyone else to be wrong, if that was the objective, she wins. The objective, however, is shalom bayis. And in shalom bayis, the best way to teach a child not to chew with their mouth open is to, let's say the best way is to say, bite and chew, whatever. It's not working. And the husband says, go to your room without supper. And the wife is like, that's not the best way to do it. But she listens because she's following the will of her husband. And guess what? The kid never has a problem squishing mashed potatoes through his teeth ever again. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying harshness or being mean is, the ideal way, but I'm just saying he has his way. Let him have his way. So our whole society has kind of brainwashed us that you want to do everything the most efficient, the smartest, the best, whatever, and so forth. But however, if we go our husband's way, that does something that no right, correct answer can do. And that is to bring bracha into the home. So for instance, I'll give you this one last example. If a husband wants to buy, I don't know nothing. I know nothing about cars. So, but I'm just going to say a man wants to buy a Prius, a Ford Escort instead of the Prius. And the wife is like, she's positive. The Prius is right. It's got better gas mileage. It has better, no, it doesn't use gas, electric car, whatever. It's got, and anyway, the Prius is for sure. It's got all these ratings and this, and he's going to fail by buying this car. She's totally convinced. So she forces her way and they buy the Prius. So the Prius, it's going to be the first Prius in humankind that's a lemon, that doesn't work, that keeps breaking down. The ignition, is that one of the things? Carburetor, I don't know. One of the things are breaking all the times, and they're back in the shop 50 times. Okay. However, she was right, but it wasn't a blessed decision. So instead, she knows she's right about the Prius, but he says, no, I want the Escort. That's the one we're buying. And she says, okay, dear. She bends to his will. Okay, dear. It's the first Escort to go 400,000 miles. Okay. And so with bracha, Hashem is going to bring blessing into our life for creating shalom in our marriage. And that means a woman bending to her husband's will. There's, should he do what she wants? Yes, but it's far more important when a woman starts it and starts the whole ball rolling like the Masorah or 3,000-year-old bulletproof track record of success. If she starts bending her will towards his, we're told he will bend down and listen to her ear and get her advice on what she wants. And she'll get her way 1,000 times more than if I want it my way. Okay. Very, very good question. Do we have time for another one?
Yeah, this is our last question for right now. Tahila asks, is our goal here with communication to get our husbands to speak more so that they fill the 1/10 of speech that they were given and I continue speaking 9 times as much, or are we trying to speak less and get our husbands to speak more so that the ratio will be more equal?
Right. It's a good
question.
Yeah, no, it's a cute question, but it's not a question of equal or not equal. That first of all, 9/10 of speech, if you use it all on your husband, you'll kill the poor guy. So 9/10 means you can also use it on your friends and your family and your sister and your mother and whatever. Okay. So that's very important to understand that. That's first of all. And you're not getting him so that there's some kind of equal ratio. That's not the point. The point is for your husband to have to be able to share with you and give to you in that way is what creates a bond. So when you are sitting there and, you come home from work and how's your day, dear? Fine. Did anything happen any interesting? No, it was a normal day. How'd that meeting go? Good. He's not answering. So a wife gets a journal out and she makes 50, 100. If you sit there for an hour, you can come up with 50 questions you can ask your spouse about, where did you go? Why did you choose that yeshiva when you're growing up? Why, how come you like those kinds of novels? Why did you, they're scary. They're, late at night. How do you, I don't know, making these up, whatever kinds of questions that you can think of that would draw him out. You're asking not yes or no questions. How are you? Fine. You're saying, how did you choose that camp that you went to? Did you do well in camp? Did you like camp? And you follow-up questions. When your husband is sharing with you, he's connecting with you. And I've taught this to tens of thousands of women, and what they report back, the ones who do report back, whatever they say, it's remarkable. Like, I feel closer to him than I ever did before. Why? What is it? I don't know. I don't claim to understand, but we know that Moshe Cordovero says all bracha comes from Shemayim through the husband and to the wife. And when the wife is a receiver and listens and thanks and appreciates and all the other things we've talked about thus far, but when a wife listens to her husband and is there for him, asks him more questions and sounds interesting and interested and delves into him, there's just a closeness and a bond that's available there that's available no other way. Very good question. And I give you all a bracha that you should have the koyach to grow in your listening skills and in your closeness to your husband. Okay, ladies, your homework for today is to one time this week, when you are like absolutely positive that you are right and your way is better. Like, it's 100% clear. And if you had 1,000 people who were voting on whether your way is better, they would all vote, yes, you are smarter and better and your way is better. One time this week, when that happens, let go. Just let go and relax and let it go your husband's way. You may not see, if you're lucky, you'll see the result of it. If you may not see the result of it, probably you won't see the result, but I've had enough reports back where people said, I couldn't believe it. He just made this decision. It was the stupidest thing. We went to that thing and we did that thing and it turned out so amazing. And I met this other person that I'm writing a book with, and I'm trying to remember some story, it's crazy. Try it one time. I give you the best of luck, and Hashem should watch over you and bring shalom into your home for this very monumental effort. Good luck to you. And if you have success, please write me at info@ladiestalkshow.com and say, I read his way and I was so shocked, but this XYZ happened and it was gorgeous. So good luck with it, and Hashem should bench you with your efforts, and you should have Shalom Bayis to 120. This is Leah Richheimer. We'll see you next time. If you want more, we have so much more. If you want to learn our Masorah and have an awesome marriage, the first thing we have is a coaching program. If you are awesome with people and you want to know the Masorah better than 99% of the people on the planet Earth, like for reals, okay? It's a 4-month program. It's very intense. We have major scholarships, and we have somebody who's granted in a lot to pay for a big bulk of it. It's still a little expensive, but for what you get, and then you can start charging money to know it. That's the coaching program. Don't miss it. Go to www.ladiestalkshow.com. We do retreats. We do all kinds of stuff. You'll find it there. www.ladiestalkshow.com. Thanks for being with us. Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show.